1, 2, 3, 4. Shaking all over. Speaking of which, it's time to change the oil on the KTM 640 Adventure. Let's have a go of it. Have you seen Wanda Jackson do that tune? Man, oh man, the Queen of Rockabilly, look out! On this edition of This Old Bike, we're going to do an oil change, a backyard oil change on a KTM 640 Adventure, a 2002 model with the LC4 engine. While I got everything opened up and draining, I want to show you all the components and where everything is. It's a rather elaborate process just to change the oil on this particular engine, make, and model of motorcycle because it's a dry sump oil system. The majority of the oil is stored and cooled here in the frame breast tube, this center breast tube right here. That allows you to cool the oil without needing an oil filter and allows you a smaller crankcase so as you don't have to hold a whole bunch of oil in the engine itself. But that involves a lot of different components to make it work. Starting here at the bottom, we've got a magnetic drain plug. This comes out of right here. Just forward of the magnetic drain plug, you have the permanent coarse oil screen located right here, complete with the brass washers. The main fine filter, replaceable fine filter, is mounted right here underneath the frame. Now, in order to properly drain the frame, you need to take out this tiny little Allen head screw from right under here. That allows the final draining of this tube. If you don't do that, you're not going to get all the old oil out of the bike. This other hole underneath here just allows the circulation of oil through the fine filter. The replaceable filter is located right here on the right hand side of the bike. A little bit of work working around the brake lever here. Remember, the oil, the rubber side of the filter always goes where the oil comes in and out. So the metal side goes into the engine, rubber side out to match the oil lines. This is not an oil sight gauge on this particular motorcycle. I'll show you over here. There is no sight gauge on this maker model. It's all done through a dipstick with this oil filler plug here on the left side of the engine, which you work up and over and through the gas tank. So when we go back to service the fresh oil, after we replace all the filters, we'll be servicing oil here, and then we'll be burping the oil system to prevent any cavitation from this nut located, very hard to see from here and even harder to reach, up alongside the frame. It may be easier if you take the whole Darth Kitty cowling off of this thing. Back up in there is the filler hole for the frame. So we'll be servicing some oil up in there. There it is. Servicing some oil through there and then burping the oil system there to prevent cavitation of the oil system. The burping process is basically, once you've got your oil in the bike, break this nut loose, start the bike, and as soon as the oil starts burping and puking and making a big mess out of there, shut the bike off and tighten it up. Be sure and put some oil or fill up your oil, your new KTM oil filter, the fine oil filter, before you reinstall it, and make sure you've reinstalled and torqued down your breast tube drain plug. We're going to put 1.3 liters of oil right in the crankcase, and we'll put 0.6 liters up in the breast tube. That's the tricky part. Here's where you're going to need to MacGyver something up to get oil into the breast tube there, into the frame of this motorcycle, because that's a pretty small hole that we're going to be working with. We got 6/10 of an oil slowly going down the hatch here, very slowly, through our little MacGyvered system to get it into the hole there in the frame. I've even warmed up the oil a little bit by the old wood stove this morning to help facilitate it getting in, you know, decrease the viscosity and get it in the machine, just like they do in Alaska, but it ain't that cold out. Well, you can see why you're going to want to learn how to do this yourself, because if you take this to the shop, there's going to be at least an hour's worth of labor just doing the oil change, probably even more. I have no idea how much they charge. It'd be quite a bit at 90 bucks an hour at the local shop. By the way, that old Honda XL 600 there has a similar dry sump oil system. Not quite as elaborate as on this KTM here, but same idea. While we're waiting for the oil to drain here, we'll talk a little bit about the 640 Adventure. I'll do a more complete review of it later on after I take it out in the dirt and have a good go at it. But I've owned a lot of machines in this size category, the 650. I've owned the old, there's the old XL 600. I've had a XR 600R Honda plated. I've owned the DR 650 and the KLR 650, a 2006 model. Of all of those, this one is by far the most capable in the dirt, the best dirt suspension of all so far. It's also the most powerful one of the whole fleet. It's also the tallest and the heaviest and the most expensive to own and operate of all of those machines. Presently I have the stock gearing, which is kind of ridiculous. It's a 100-mile-an-hour dirt bike right now, so I'll be reducing that gearing and adding a more knobby rear tires, or knobby tires to both the front and rear. Make it a little more dirt capable, because that's where this thing really shines, is high-speed off-road work. This one also, of course, being the most powerful, and the LC4 engine is the most shaky. There's no getting around it. It's a bit of a jackhammer. And in this particular one, you really feel the vibrations here in the foot pegs. It's not too bad on the hand grips and the seat. And that's a Guts aftermarket seat. So start the bike, covering the kill switch, and as soon as that oil starts burping out of there, kill it before you make a huge mess. That looks good to me. So it doesn't come just flying out of there like I suspected. It just kind of weeps. Double check the torque on all your fasteners and give it a quick hop around the patch and give her a leak check and sign her off back for service. I've been using the Motrex synthetic oil on all my KTM 4-strokes. It only costs an arm and a leg at your local KTM dealer. Clean and reinstall what's left of your original KTM bash plate before the hammer of the God's LC4 engine reduces it back to powderized metallurgy. Then recheck your oil quantity and top it off as necessary. Time to go riding.